Good.
Welcome to the studio at That Nerd Show. I am Marcus Blake, and today we are speaking with the lovely and talented actress Shila Ommi from the critically acclaimed show on Apple Plus, Tehran. And it is a pleasure to speak with you. Welcome to our studio. So we're going to jump right in. Tehran has been one of those underrated shows on Apple Plus that I feel like people are just now discovering, with season 2 almost done. And it had come out a few years back, and then of course the pandemic hit. So how did this project come to you? Because you have a background in comedy, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But how did you get involved with this show?
Well, I was on another Apple TV show called Little America. And on that show, Sean Tube, who plays my husband in Tehran, also played my husband. And Little America is an anthology series. It's another great series to check out. I think they also have another season coming out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I heard there was another season coming out. And so we played man and wife, and we kind of built rapport from that show. And when Sean got his role in Tehran, I think at that point, the producers were looking at another actor to play his wife from the UK. And Sean said, you should definitely see Shila. So they allowed me to send in an audition. I taped an audition, and I worked day and night on the audition because I didn't want to make Sean look bad since he suggested me. And it got me the part.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obvious you guys have great chemistry in this show. I admit I am not familiar with the other one. But anyway, you play the wife of his character, who's a very talented investigator with the Revolutionary Guard. And your character, you kind of start out as the dutiful wife, but you have this whole backstory, and it opens up more into season 2. Now, while I don't want to go into spoilers, can you tell us a little about how the character went from season 1 to season 2 and kind of what's going on?
I think I'm not going to spoil it by saying that in season 1, because of my husband's work, which as you mentioned, he is the head of the military intelligence service in Tehran. And it's very obvious that I am although we love each other very much, I am the neglected wife because he does constantly put his job, which is protecting his homeland and the people in it, to being a good husband. And because of his work, I get kidnapped by Mossad. And that has some intense repercussions in season 2.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it was, as I was going through the series, I was just kind of like, well, this is not an important character. It's just the wife. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. We're off to the races.
Okay, right. Exactly. And it's part of the reason why I took the character on was because I wasn't sure if I was going to take the role because I hadn't read the episodes. I'd just seen the sides that they gave me to audition with. So I had no idea what it was. Like, what, Israel's making something about Iranians. And, I'm an Iranian American actor, and I do a lot of plays for Iranians in diaspora. I really honed my acting skills doing plays for Iranians. So I just wasn't sure where this was going until the director, Danny Sirkin, who is a brilliant he's directed all the episodes. He's also in the writing room, so he's kind of an auteur. He came and he took Sean and I out for dinner, and he told me how the character Nahid was not just an ornamental wife, but that she was going to be very intricate. Sorry.
Oh, you're all right.
I lost my earpiece. That she's very intricately involved in season 1, and so definitely much more so in season 2, but at that point we didn't know there was going to be a season 2.
Right. Well, this show has been compared to American espionage shows like The Americans and 24. And I think a lot of people kind of forget the intelligence gathering that goes on in the Middle East, because here's Americans, we're so used to Cold War espionage type stories, or it's always the Russians and stuff, but we don't. This is kind of an inside look about all that goes on between Israel, Iran, and that whole region that doesn't get explored. What has been some of the more fascinating parts about this story, like things you have learned, you know, being involved in an espionage show?
I tell you, at its core, the show's narrative is about loyalty. It's about identity. It's about loyalty to those you love and loyalty to your country. Um, uh, there was an incident where on the show for season one, there was a protest. People were protesting in the streets. And then after we filmed that, 2 months after we filmed it, there was an actual protest in Iran. And it was kind of a shame that people thought, like some Iranians thought that, oh, we knew about it, or I don't know, but this has nothing to do with reality. The DNA of Tehran is that it's completely fictional. It's a character-driven thriller about identity. And
yeah. So, in the city in the show is its own, you know, character in itself. Because again, I think most audiences haven't been opened up to, you know, that area and stuff. Glenn Close, you have some very intriguing scenes with her, and what was it like to do scenes with Glenn Close?
It was incredible to do scenes with Glenn Close, but the weeks and weeks and months of preparation that I had to do on my own before meeting Glenn Close, knowing that these lines that I'm preparing for and these moments that I'm crafting, I'm going to be speaking to Glenn Close, were the most nerve-wracking times of my life, Marcus. Let me just tell you. Oh my God, I do not wish that upon my worst enemy. I was so scared. I went and I started looking at interviews of Glenn Close, and for some reason, every interview I'd see scared me more of her. She looked so intense, and you know, these people that have a very strong sense of self that I have none of. So I was terrified, and it was so funny. I was so scared that the first day that we were shooting, Glenn had already been shooting some other scenes, and then I get in hair and makeup and I walk on the set, and I'm trying to be very quiet, and I sit on the couch kind of away from her, not to get into her space. She was talking to the director, and then I hear her saying, I don't even know who she is. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm Sheila. I'm playing Nahid. She goes, oh, honey, I don't mean you. I mean, at this moment of this character. Oh my God. But we did our first scene together, and she was just lovely. She came up to me and she hugged me afterwards. And she's someone who really humbled me a lot. To see someone look at my age, it would be hard for me to take on a character that is speaking a language that's totally foreign to my ears. And Glenn Close did that, and she did amazing with Farsi. And, you know, for her character is wearing a very heavy wig because it's a long-haired wig. On top of that, she's wearing hijab in a summer in Athens because we're trying to make Athens look like Tehran. And not one time did she complain about the weather, not about anything. And she just had fun with it. She played backgammon between taping with the cast and crew. Of course, she was also working on her Farsi, but I just learned how, you know, she actually wrote me an email after filming that she said, you know, we actors, we are playing. So, you know, you have to remember to play and to have fun with it, because this is what people are, the experience people are getting. Is important, but it's important for you to play.
Well, but I think stories like this are always important to young actors who are getting into business, and then, you know, they do a scene with an idol and everything, and, you know, there's always that moment of, you know, what you think of them is not really true. They can be hard to deal with. They may be a diva, and it's like, it's not worth my time. But to work with, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. There's always something. I know it's. and I thought I had everything you did. Oh well.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah. but to have, an experience like that with someone that's professional and warm and helps you, I think that makes it, I would think that makes it all worth it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
so your comedy background, we did a little
Mm-hmm.
research around here.
Oh, did you?
And when I say that, we looked up YouTube clips. No,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you go from being a comedian to getting into more dramatic roles? I mean, do you find it easier to be more of a comedian or the latter?
No, it's definitely comedy's much tougher than drama. However, that said, for me to do dramatic roles in front of a camera is a whole new bag of worms. Bag of worms, can of worms. It's hard. It's really hard. Um, and it's hard for me because I'm a stage actor. It's a whole different type of acting, what you do in front of the camera. It's a whole different language that I am still learning. I'm so humbled by how difficult film acting is. Just completely humbled by it. But comedy is more difficult. Comedy, it's so much harder to make people laugh than to make people cry because everyone has things in their daily life that they'd want to cry about. But laughing is something else. There's a timing, there's a genius with it that I haven't figured out. But
The building blocks of acting.
yeah.
So yeah, but again, we don't want to get into any spoilers, but we're towards the end of season 2, and what do you expect from your character? Because I feel like there's going to be a season 3 of this show, and
Oh,
yeah,
from your mouth to God's ears, I hope so.
Yeah, we haven't gotten an announcement yet, but just kind of where they're leading. I'm like, how do you not get another season? So, where do you see your character going, and what kind of growth would you like to see in your character?
I want my character to become more and more powerful. And because you see that she's a strong woman. And by the way, here's a woman who is married to a top agent of the Sepah. It's like the wife of a general, the wife of an army general. You have got to have some cojones to be such a person, to be drawn to such a man as the man that you want to share your life with.
Right.
So I want her to step into her power more, because right now, and part of it's been it's been my own crafting. I give her some power, and then I make her a little bit like a child, and I want her to really step into her power and to be able to kick some butt.
So, I mean, I know you're reading lines and you're taking direction and everything, but I feel like, there's always something of yourself that you put into your character. Mm-hmm. What's a little bit of you personally that you put into her?
I'm a huge child within. So even though when I first crafted the character, I didn't do it alone. I have a filmmaking partner of mine who's a Japanese American genius. His name is Hitoshi Inoue, and we've been making films together for years. And so we crafted the character of Nahid together. And what we originally crafted, she was very, very level-headed and strong and powerful and intelligent. And what I noticed I added to her when we were filming was that I gave her some moments of being childish and fun-loving and silly, and afraid like a child, to have that fear of a child. So so it's just given her a lot of layers, as we all have.
Well, before we get to our last question of this interview, I do want to ask, what else do you have coming up? We like to plug what filmmakers are doing, something to look forward to. What do you have coming up?
First of all, those friends that are in Los Angeles, the Getty Villa has a beautiful Persian exhibition, and I've done the voiceover for the Persian exhibition, and it goes on until August, mid-August. But I myself have directed a film called Wake Up Sleeping Beauty.
Oh.
That it was always my dream to work with these two. They're my two best friends. One is Mariam Sayad. She's a PhD in mythology. The other one, Mastan Moradam, is a therapist. She's an amazing therapist and an amazing writer. And my idea was always to do a play with them that would combine mythology and psychology and be a very healing, cathartic type of play. And it came through the department, that Los Angeles Department of Mental Health commissioned a play that Mastana wrote, and they collaborated together. And it's based on the myth of Sleeping Beauty. But then COVID hit, and the department said, sorry, you can't do a play. You want to do a Zoom play read? And I said, no, I can turn this into a feature film. So with my filmmaking partner, Hitoshi, and we turned it into a feature film. The department said no two of the actors could ever be in the same house together, and you can't be in the same room with them. How are you going to turn that into a film? So I turned my living room into a green screen studio, and I was from the dining room. I would give them direction and give them eye lines. Each actor came in on a different day, and Hitoshi stitched it all together. So you will not believe when you watch this film, and it's won many awards at film festivals so far.
Right.
Many
So it is on the film festival.
You'll never believe. Yeah, you won't believe that these actors have never met each other in person to this day. They've never seen each other. If they see each other on the street, they won't recognize each other. But it looks like there's 4 actors in one room talking to each other.
Isn't that the interesting thing about the pandemic? You know, I think everybody kind of learned, you know, different filming techniques. Is like, how are we going to get this done when we can't do it how we normally do it? You know?
Right, yeah.
So, but it's on the film festival circuit right now. Are you planning a premiere, or are you still kind of in the phase of?
We are planning a premiere. So first of all, we want to offer it to people to watch for free. It is in Persian with English subtitles, and it's about those parts of ourselves that we ignore, turn into monsters, which is what the myth of Sleeping Beauty is actually teaching listeners of that story. And however, although it's dealing with an Iranian-American woman dealing with her Iranian-American psychoses, it is universal, and anyone can relate to it. We're offering it for free. It's on the cross-cultural expressions website. But if you follow me on Instagram, we are going to have a premiere of it, like a screening of it. And so I'll know as we get closer to when. So if you follow me.
Well, mythology, fairy tales, and all that, that's a very nerdy thing. That's kind of right up our alley. So I'm glad that you were able to tell us about it so we can look out for it and help plug it. All right. So your last question. It is our nerdy question that we ask all of our filmmakers. And here it is. If you could have a weapon of choice or a superpower to fight the forces of evil, what would you choose? And
so,
yeah, either a weapon, superpower, anything, or more than one to fight the forces of evil.
Oh God, yes. I would want to have the superpower. A superpower to be able to get people to look at their traumas in the eye and to get over it, and to get over themselves, and to get over their psychoses so that they stop being jerks.
Nice.
And this is, you know, and this will end wars. This will end wars when you look at your own crap that you've been ignoring.
I'm feeling like a Doctor Strange vibe where you pop out of your body and you're meant to face these things, and it's just kind of a rude awakening, and then you change. That's an interesting power.
But it would have to be but it would have to be a superpower that I could like do even via Zoom. Like it doesn't have to be person to person, because there are billions of people on this planet that need healing.
Right.
So like via the internet, or maybe sound waves.
You know what?
They just suddenly go into a journey.
I'm going to add how you do it. Okay. It's either a little I Dream a Genie or Bewitched. You just a wink, or, you know, crinkle your nose or whatever. Yeah, yeah. There you go. And that's it. That would be interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
I think you're also developing a comic book character here. So there you go. Another project for you.
Right, exactly. More projects. Thanks, Marcus.
Well, Sheila, thank you for speaking with us today. As I said, Tehran, it's an amazing show, and I'm glad more and more people are watching it. And I can't wait to see what happens with it next in your character. So
thank you so much.